crack myself up. I still haven't found my first Blantons.
That's different. I really like that.
They're like together, like peas and carrots.
That's funny.
Sometimes accidents are good things. Peychauds or Pechaud's or
Pachaw! This is not what I expected.
That was weird. I hit the button and all of a sudden it went black. I'm like, what's going on here? That was weird. Okay. Hi, how's it going? It's I know it's Wednesday. I'm sorry. We did the Bourbcast last week, and Kevin and I did the thing. We tasted the chicken cock double oaked, and varying reviews on that one. And I said we'll be back next Thursday, and I forgot that tomorrow I can't do it. I've got something else that came up, and I'm not able to do it. So hey, how are you, Jonathan? I'm glad you're here. Thank you for watching. So I can't do it tomorrow. So instead, we're going to do it tonight. And the truth of it is, I'll be here, but I just couldn't wait another day. No, I'll be out of town, trust me. Which is truth? Which is true? Am I lying now? I am lying, but am I? Old Star Trek gag. All right. Ooh, I can smell it already. 2 years ago, almost to the day, I did Bourbcast number 26, and it was this bad boy. The OHLQ, OHLQ pick of Rossville Union. It's a single barrel, and this one is 100 proof bottled in bond. As a matter of fact, I remember really liking it, but maybe I need to give you some proof here. Wow, is that good? Okay, it's less grassy than most ryes. I do catch just a little bit on the front. The first sip that I took, right across the palate, I got just a little bit of ryegrass. Cinnamon is popping heavy for me. Actually kind of, there's like like a toasted bread. So anyway, I liked it, and that was a lot too much trouble to even get to that, which just wasn't supposed to be that difficult. Anyway, but I liked it then. I thought it was a very, very flavorful pour, and now we get to try the barrel strength, which yeah, I'm kind of digging this. But this was bottled in bond, 100 proof. This was a 5-year. No, it had to be a 4-year. Had to be a 4-year. But that was the OHLQ pick, and that was 2 years ago, almost to the day. That was a single barrel bottled in bond, 120 proof, which is a little bit weird because Ross-Squibb's normal single barrel is 120 proof, and they call that cask strength. So, but it's a blend, so that's the difference between this one and the other one. They took 83 barrels, their honey barrels, and they put them together. Ross-Squibb, it's the newish marketing arm of MGP as they've started to roll out their own brands, and Rossville Union was the first, sort of named after the distillery and its owner, George Ross. So Ross-Squibb. The other guy is the funny fish-like guy that hangs out with SpongeBob. Squidward. That probably wasn't very nice. I bet I'm not the only one to tell that stupid-ass joke. So, anyway, they're in the heart of Lawrenceburg, Indiana, Whiskey City, an area that's been pumping out rye whiskey since 1847. Back then, the grist mills were powered by one horse, and they were able to make about 2 barrels of whiskey a week, which is still considerable. That's over 100 gallons, unless different barrels by today's standards. The distillery entered into the Prohibition era at a time when they were on top. 96% of the spirits sold at the time were rye whiskey. And then they got through Prohibition, and they're trying to make I guess a rye comeback because bourbon's been so huge. Now they're trying to get ryes to come back on top again, and they're saying that this is the golden age of rye. This represents the golden age of rye. Rye, Mr. Potter, rye. Although that movie, it was gin. Oh, yeah, I still like that. That's a nice nose. This is only 5.5% more alcohol in volume than the one I tried 2 years ago. That was 100 proof. This is 112.6 proof. So not a whole lot more. So therefore, I did not pre-open this one. Like I have been recently. I pre-open it, dump it out, and then come back to it. Dump it back in. This time I didn't do this. This is a fresh crack. They're saying it's between 5 and 6 years old. It's a blend of mash bills. MGP's 51% rye, 45% corn, and 4% malted barley. And another mash bill mixed in with it, 95% rye, 5% malted barley, mash bills. Okay, MSRP in Ohio is $69.99. Oh, cinnamon, red hot sweet, those Red Hots, cinnamon candy. Actual cinnamon as well. Maybe smoked paprika. I use smoked paprika, so that's how I know the flavor. Little licorice. Yeah, definitely some licorice. Or anise. Chris Elliott's watching. Hey, Chris. How are you? Glad you're here. I don't know if you've ever found the Rossville Union barrel proof, but I did. I'm going to try it. Boy, is that nice. Okay. Okay. So, dried out my mouth. Come on. No more wet in the mouth. All gone. Cotton mouth right away. But the mouth feel of it, other than that, was pretty well balanced. The proof was not overly so. For 112 proof, I'm not thinking that it was, it wasn't mind-blowing, right? The other one was 100 proof. This one's 112. And drinks real nice at 112. It's not super hot, even with a fresh crack. Actually, really nice. Let's now that I got some spit back in my mouth, let's try it again. Okay, dried me out again. It's very interesting. Very rare will a sip dry me out 2 times in a row. This one did. But that being said, that mouthfeel is really, really buttery, very silky. Chris says, doing good. I have not, but based on your review, I may now. So, I don't know why it's drying out my mouth so quickly. I just had a little water a little while ago. I mean, it shouldn't be like that, but it is. And as long as that doesn't bother you, because it generally doesn't bother me, it's just a characteristic of this particular spirit. And the mouthfeel of itself, it's got a very nice viscosity to it. Very, let's say silky. It's between silky and buttery, right? It's not all the way to the point of being buttery, but it comes close. Hey, Larry, how are you? I'm glad you're here. We're doing the Rossville. I always get that wrong. Rossville Union Barrel Proof Rye. And I had liked the one that we had 2 years ago, and I found this and thought, I got to do this. All right. I wonder if that's not the rye that's drying me out. That's really unusual. But the flavors are fantastic. I'm pulling out some really nice cinnamons. I got red hot on the nose, but on the palate, I'm getting cinnamon, maybe a little nutmeg. It's very fruit forward. There's something in it that's fruit forward, which makes it kind of nice. Let me take that back. I got more fruit off the nose. Gah. No, I got fruit off the palate too. Fighting with myself. Yeah, this is good. Okay, let me see if I can actually pull out some notes for you this time. I know. Okay, here we go. A little bit of tobacco back in there. Cinnamons are strong. A nice toffee. Somewhere between caramel and toffee. Not quite bitter enough to be toffee, but not quite sweet enough to be caramel. Boy, that's good. Sometimes it's tough to explain, and it's tough to pull out notes. You just know that you like what you're drinking. And this is one of those. If you don't want to sit there and dissect it in front of a group of people, well, I think this one has blah, 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 blah. I taste Corinthian leather. This might be a good one to do that. Now maybe my palate's off tonight. I don't know, but I don't think it is. I'll nip that in the bud. I'm going to do another pour here in a minute. And then I'm going to tell you what we're doing next week. So stick around. Definitely has like a date type of a presence to it. Dark fruit, a tannic type fruit. It's really very, very good. This is one I can easily recommend. All right. But I like the other Rossville Union. It was very good. Although the spout's a little bit tough to pour. That's the third time I've poured and I ended up with some spillage. All right. I wonder if the auto captions know how to spell spillage. Oh, it does. It spelled it right. I don't even want the auto captions. I don't like them on there, but I know some of you aren't seeing it. I'm seeing it here, and it drives me crazy. All right. So I'm using this glass tonight because since it's a full proof, and because I've had Rossville Union before, I know that it's got great nose and great body. So I wanted to drink it out of a wider snoot tonight because I knew I wasn't going to need all that going up. You know, I wasn't going to need the Glencairn to really concentrate those vapors. I wanted to do it a little bit differently tonight. So I did it with the official Kentucky Bourbon Trail glass. Get that water mixed in there. And that's the neat thing about this. If you get to know a whiskey well enough and you want to do like a tasting with your friends, you can decide whether it's right for them to do a Glencairn glass, which has a really tight snoot, allows more of those vapors to get up into your nose, more of that scent, or if you want to use something wider that helps disperse that just a little bit. This doesn't disperse it a lot, just a little bit. All right. Even on water, it dried my mouth out up in here. First thing I got off of that with water on it was brown sugar. Yeah. Not a super sweet brown sugar, strangely enough, but I definitely have some of the characteristics of a brown sugar. And that cinnamon just stuck around. That cinnamon's really nice in there. It's Lawrenceburg rye. It's Indiana rye. It's going to be completely different than other ryes you're used to. If you're used to a Canadian rye, that's going to be grassy, earthy, whereas Lawrenceburg rye, Indiana rye, has a reputation, and by my measures and by my experience with it, it's much more flavor-filled and it's much more spicy. It's just got some characteristics of a rye that you're not going to find in other parts of the world, like Alberta, Canada. I just really like Indiana rye a lot. And I know that there's a lot of Indiana rye in a lot of different things. So it's a good thing I like it because it just adds that nice spice, nice, really a great mouthfeel, just a fantastic taste. And that's what this has. I'm just really pleased with this. All right. So it just occurred to me that I brought down an ice sphere, but I don't think it's going to fit in that glass. So we might just skip it. The cotton mouth while drinking is the only thing that does not sound appealing, but everything else sounds great. And that just could be user experience, Chris. It's tough to say. I don't know that there's anybody else I've ever talked to that experiences cotton mouth while drinking something. And it happens to me occasionally, especially with the higher proof ones. Not at 112, but get up into the 120s, that'll dry my mouth right out. This one is doing that for me. It may not do that for you. And maybe I'm just dehydrated. I don't know. Like I said, I had some water a little while ago. I shouldn't be, but it's possible. But it could also be, the depth of this. It's an acidity. If in cooking, acidity adds to the depth of the flavor. So like if you're making vegetable soup and you do it like my dad used to do it and you just pour in cans of, canned vegetables, put a little ham in there and use the broth from the vegetables. So all you get is vegetable soup, right? That there's really nothing flavorful in there. You add some salt and pepper and spices, whatever. But if you add something that has some acidity, citrus juice, vinegar, something like that, that's going to create depth in the food, some dimension in the food. The same thing can be done with a bay leaf. So sometimes when I do vegetable soup, I'll add a little vinegar to it and a bay leaf, and it adds a lot of depth to it. Yes, I cook too. That may be, and coffee, acidity is a thing too. And that's why I'm thinking that this may have something to do with acidity, because in coffee, acidity can give you the experience of drying out your mouth a little bit. It adds some bite. Sometimes people mistake it as bitterness. Sometimes it is bitterness, but if there's a bite to that coffee, that bite is acidity. So I've got a coffee upstairs right now that I purposely enjoy because it has zero acidity. There's no bite whatsoever. It's very, very smooth. But sometimes I like that bite too. So I've got like 5 different coffees and I'll rotate throughout the week of what those 5 coffees are. But I'm just wondering if it's not the acidity that's doing this. I don't remember the 2020 one doing this. So it could just be the proof. I don't know. I would just say, Chris, you need to get some and try it for yourself. And I'm going to see if this ice sphere will fit in here. And that's a no. Okay. So no ice tonight. I didn't bring down the right glass. I forgot to bring the other glass down. All right, so I did bring 2 glasses down. And the reason is because yesterday would have been my father's 87th birthday. And every year I do this, and every year I don't look forward to it, but I do it because, it was my dad's 87th birthday, and that's Echo Spring. Echo Spring, this bottle has got to be easily 30 years old. I would venture to say it might even be more than that. This one he bought for $18. It's a handle. It's 1.5 liters. So he got it for $18. Still has the price tag on it. Still says liquor on it. So, but each year I do it. Echo Spring, this was his go-to. Now, he didn't drink a lot of bourbon. And with this, I understand why. He was a vodka guy. He loved his vodka, and he would drink Echo Spring occasionally. A lot of times they would put it in a slush. Or he'd sometimes have friends over, and he didn't want to spend more than $18 on a bottle of booze because he knew he wasn't going to drink it. But they would put this into a slush. They had this recipe that would use bourbon, and it was very tangy, very citrusy, and they'd make a slush out of it. And because it was alcohol, it wouldn't freeze totally. It was like a snow cone. And they enjoyed that. It was sweet. My dad kind of liked sweet stuff, but vodka was his thing. Bloody Marys, he loved a Bloody Mary. I can't get past the tomato juice in a Bloody Mary, so I have to add like spices, and I have to add what's that stuff? I'll think of it. Horseradish. I have to add horseradish to it. Oh, and lots of pepper. But anyhow, so Echo Springs was his, and we went out to dinner last night to celebrate his birthday. It was actually yesterday, so I'm just gonna mesh in his birthday and the Thursday Bourbcast into one day here on Wednesday and say happy birthday, Dad. You have terrible taste in bourbon. You know what? Every year since 2020, I've been trying this stuff for his birthday. And every year I don't look forward to it because I know it's nasty. This year, particularly after drinking the Rossville Union, which I very much like, this one has some nice flavor to it tonight. Ew! What's going on? Sweet. It's got honey on it. Okay, that one wasn't so good. Yeah, it's still bad. But there are some things about it that are likable. I was reading online. For the first time, I did some research on Echo Spring. Here's what it is. This trash whiskey is owned by Heaven Hill. It's 80 proof, and from my research, I learned that it was a favorite pour of a bluegrass legend, Hilo Brown. This was his favorite. In 1933, the Echo Springs brand was launched at the Murphy Barber Distillery, and then I got some information, I don't know if it's good or not, moved to Shenley Distillery, which is now evidently Buffalo Trace. None of that sounds right, but I didn't dig into it too hard. But now Heaven Hill has it. In the past, it was aged 7 years, then I went to 4, now I think it's only 3 years. This was my dad's bottle, and that was my annual sip of his bourbon. So this one I think is a 4-year, because it does not say 7. If it was 7 here, I'd know it was a 7-year. No, here, right on the back. This whiskey is 4 years old. So since Heaven Hill got it, they turned it down to 3 years. Okay, well, let's say goodbye to that. Okay. I've had worse. Oak and Eden is worse. All right, next week. Jacob's Pardon. We've done Jacob's Pardon number 2 before, but I happened to stumble across Jacob's Pardon number 1. Jacob's Pardon is a company that likes to experiment. They like to try different things. So far, they've come up with 2 recipes. I understand that they're trying to come up with more, but right now, all that's out there is Jacob's Pardon number 1, which I never thought I'd see, and now it's here. And Jacob's Pardon number 2, which I really enjoyed. I'm on my second bottle of that. Yeah, second bottle of that. And I don't even think I've opened it yet because I finished the other one. I got this one. I was like, yeah, I got another bottle. And I haven't opened it yet. But I really like Jacob's Pardon number 2. So next week for Bourbcast 152, I will be here. I'm going to be, unfortunately, out again on May 4th. May the 4th be with you. I will not be here on a Bourbcast that day. So you tell me in the comments if you want me to do it on a Wednesday or a Friday or a Monday or whatever day you want me to do it. And that's when I will do it. You tell me when it's best for you. We did that special one on Monday at 9 o'clock, and we had a lot of people watch it. It kind of surprised me. So you tell me when it's best for you. And if we have to move the date again permanently, then we will. But right now I'm going to plan on either Wednesday or Friday on that week of May the 4th. Instead of actually being here on Force Day. But we'll be here next week for Jacob's Pardon recipe number 1. And hope you have, let me see if I'm missing anything. Michael's watching. Hey, Michael, how are you? I'm glad you're here. Yeah, Chris, again, don't let the cottonmouth thing stop you. Go get it. And if you have cottonmouth, then let me know, because I think it might be just a me thing. So try it out and see what you think. And this is a fresh crack, too. You know, let this thing sit a week. I may come back to it. It may not happen. So worth a shot. I didn't dump this one out first like I normally do. Dump it out, dump it back in. I normally do that. With this one, I didn't do that because with the original, I didn't do that. So anyway, all right, guys, thank you again very much. I do appreciate you coming back each week, and especially on special nights where I'm not going to be back on Thursday. But at least this will be here for tomorrow night, so people can watch it and enjoy themselves if they missed tonight. So, hey, take care. We'll see you next Thursday, Jacob's Pardon #1.